What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Welcome to the Cowboys Midweek Report right here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. It is Wednesday, December 9th, 2020. We were just here. We were just gathered around this proverbial campfire as the Dallas Cowboys lost to the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, not even 24 hours ago, 34-17. The final score. They are now 3-9 on the season. They will visit the Cincinnati Bengals this Sunday at noon Central Time, and we have a lot to talk about on this very quick week for the Cowboys. It is the Cowboys Midweek Report. As mentioned, we go live. We stream every Wednesday night here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our wonderful shows, any of our wonderful productions. We do film reviews, game breakdowns, recaps, live streams. Make sure, like I said, to subscribe so you don't miss anything. We know that you want to be a part of what we're doing. We want to be a part of what you're doing. It's a family atmosphere here at Blogging the Boys. And, the Dallas Cowboys certainly part of our family that we are mad at right now, right? We're all pissed off because we want the Dallas Cowboys to do better. We want you to be better, Cowboys, but the Cowboys are not. The Cowboys are a really bad football team right now. In fact, they are one of the worst teams in the NFL. And they are so bad, in fact, that the NFL has kind of stopped caring. One of the bigger stories from Wednesday in the National Football League, it was reported at first by ESPN's Adam Schefter and everybody else followed that the NFL has flexed the Week 15 game between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers out of Sunday Night Football. That's right. This is a big deal, and I know that some people think that's a dramatic point. This is a really big deal. The Cowboys and 49ers have been moved out of Sunday Night Football. The Cleveland Browns and New York Giants have been moved in. And what's more is the Dallas Cowboys not only are not playing on Sunday Night Football, but the NFL said, you suck so much that we don't even want you in the 3 o'clock hour. Go to noon, where nobody cares about what you're doing, where you're just somebody that either Scott Hansen or Andrew Siciliano sometimes point out on the Red Zone channel. That's what the Cowboys have become. This is a very, very, very far drop-off for a franchise that is regarded as America's team. Now, so you know, since NBC took over the Sunday Night Football package in 2006, as pointed out by 506 Sports, the Dallas Cowboys have never been flexed out. Ever. I mean, we're talking about this is the 15th year of Sunday Night Football on NBC, and the network and the NFL have never, ever, ever, ever flexed out of a Dallas Cowboys game. It's actually kind of super ridiculous that this would happen, but it could only happen to the Dallas Cowboys. On YouTube, Hillary says, I can't imagine Jerry is happy about the game flex. And there's a lot of people who feel, like Jerry doesn't care about the team, right? That take floats around. That take is out there. People say that Jerry Jones doesn't care about the state of the football team. Jerry Jones wants to make money. He wants to sell tickets. He wants to sell jerseys. He wants to put fans in the stands. Obviously, in normal times, this is an attack on. An attack is an aggressive word, but this attacks the thing that Jerry Jones is really known for in the NFL in terms of amplifying the notoriety of the National Football League and of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you've seen it every year for the last 6 years in a row. The Dallas Cowboys have been the most valuable sports franchise in the world. More valuable than Manchester United, more valuable than Real Madrid, more valuable than Barcelona, more valuable than the Los Angeles Lakers, the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who ended their World Series drought, by the way, this year. Manchester United not having a great week either. I say that as a United supporter. It's been rough. Yesterday was a rough day. And this is big. I mean, the Cowboys have played 47 games on Sunday Night Football. 47 games. And it's not like this game was against, I don't know, the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? It's not like the NFL saying, man, dude, that you're the Cowboys, cool, but the Jaguars, they're lame, so we don't really want this game. We want 2 playoff teams, whatever. No. This is the Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49ers. This is one of the deepest, most storied rivalries throughout the entire history of the National Football League, and the NFL saying, we're good. And what's more is Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle might be back for this game for San Francisco, which is going to make it hard enough for the Cowboys, by the way, from a competitive standpoint. But, I mean, the Cowboys, again, it's more than that they are bad, because we all know that they're bad. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. We'll get to that in a second. But they are unwatchable. They are boring. I had a good friend of the show, Bobby Belt from NFL Network, on our podcast that we do at Blogging the Boys. You can listen to that. Make sure you subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast network, available wherever you get your podcasts, all major podcast platforms. And he had a great line about this earlier today on Wednesday. He said, it's the worst thing when you are sort of treated with apathy, right? America doesn't love or doesn't hate the Cowboys. America nothings the Cowboys, right? That's how it is, right? I mean, I equated it in the conversation that Bobby and I had to the final season of How I Met Your Mother. If you watched that show was terrible at the very end, right? It was not as great as it was early on. The middle seasons were awesome. At the end, we just watched it because we were pot committed. We had invested that much time. I had a similar experience with Grey's Anatomy. It's an awesome show early on when they have the patient that has the bomb inside of him. It's super riveting and super interesting, but it got to a point where it's like, this is too much. And I know I'm super committed, but I'm fine bailing out. I think Grey's is on like season 6,000 at this point, but that's a whole different story. This is an indication of how far the Dallas Cowboys have fallen, that the NFL and the football fans, frankly, do not care about them. And another thing is, in case you haven't seen, the San Francisco 49ers are not able to play home games at Levi Stadium. They play their home game on Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills at, State Farm Stadium in Arizona, where the Arizona Cardinals play, because of COVID restrictions in their county. And so if this was part of that situation, right, where the 49ers couldn't even host the Cowboys, whatever the case may be, okay, like maybe it's a little bit more understandable, but this game was supposed to take place, or is going to take place, at AT&T Stadium. How many times have we heard Al Michaels talk about the art in the building on Sunday Night Football? I mean, it's a tradition at this point. And so the fact that the NFL kind of says they don't care about the Cowboys anymore really should be a jarring wake-up call to Jerry Jones that this is a very different state of pathetic that the Cowboys have reached, where it's not just that they aren't getting it done on the field, they are not getting it done on television screens, which is our new normal here in 2020. I mentioned that the Cowboys are really bad. The Cowboys have one of the worst point differentials in the NFL right now. And point differential is a really interesting statistic because it does kind of give you a barometer of who's good, who's not good overall in the NFL. Let's look at some point differentials, all of these numbers and figures courtesy of Pro Football Reference. In the AFC, the best point differential belongs to the current one seed in the conference, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a plus 123 point differential. If you haven't figured it out by now, point differential is literally the difference of points scored and points against. The Kansas City Chiefs, the second best in the conference. The Miami Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens. You look at this, and these are the best teams in the conference, right? It makes sense. Steelers and Chiefs might challenge for the AFC Championship game. I would love to see the Buffalo Bills get in there. I mean, but look at the teams that are in the positive in point differential in the AFC. The Steelers, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Colts, the Titans, and the Bills. Oh, and of course, the Patriots, the Browns, by the way, still at negative 15. The same Cleveland Browns that are replacing the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Let's look at the NFC side. The New Orleans Saints lead that conference with a plus 106, the only team in triple digits. The Green Bay Packers, that's probably the NFC Championship game right there, those two teams. The Bucks at a plus 64, the Rams 58, Cardinals 36, Seahawks 32. The Atlanta Falcons and Washington football team are both in the black when it comes to positive numbers on point differential. Look at the Dallas Cowboys, by far the worst in the NFC. Almost twice what the Detroit Lions have, by the way. The Dallas Cowboys have a negative 125 point differential. Negative 125. This is literally, to use another show's, that show didn't go on too long. That show ended at the perfect time. I did the last season of Parks and Rec was really weird with the like in the future thing, but still a great show. But the Cowboys are literally having one of the worst seasons in franchise history, a long and storied franchise history when it comes to this particular metric. In fact, let's look at the worst point differentials in Dallas Cowboys franchise history. In 1960, in only 11 games, mind you, the Cowboys currently have played 12. The Cowboys had a minus 192 point differential, literally the first year of the team's existence, so kind of a fair pass there. The second worst point differential in Dallas Cowboys history belongs to the 1989 team, Jimmy Johnson's first year as the unit's head coach, a minus 189, appropriately just missing a 9 right there between the 1 and the 8. Number 3, the 1961 Cowboys. It was a rough beginning for America's team back in the 60s with a minus 144. Look at where the 2020 Dallas Cowboys stand, right there, number 4. Currently, the Dallas Cowboys have the 4th worst point differential in the history of the franchise. It is bad. It is bad. It is bad. it is bad. After that, the 1988 Dallas Cowboys, the final year of Tom Landry, minus 116. The 2002 and 2004 Dallas Cowboys tied for a minus 112 point differential. And right after that, you see a lot of people have compared this season to the 2015 campaign for the Cowboys. Obviously, losing the starting quarterback, being incompetent without him, it does have a lot of, parallels to what the Cowboys experienced 5 years ago. Hopefully, they don't spend the pick they earn as a result of it on a running back, but a whole different topic nonetheless. But the 2015 Cowboys went 4-12 and had a negative 99 point differential. So already the Cowboys are beyond that. And I think when you look at this team's remaining schedule, in fact, let's look at the remaining schedule for the rest of the entire NFC East as a whole. The Cowboys are probably going to beat the Bengals on Sunday, and that's a big game. We'll get to that in a second. They're probably going to lose to the 49ers, especially, I don't even know about Jimmy Garoppolo, but if George Kittle is back, it is a guarantee that the Cowboys lose to San Fran. If Jimmy Garoppolo is back, really doesn't make a difference. Not one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, but still, probably a loss and therefore a push further in the negative direction in point differential. Week 16 against the Philadelphia Eagles. It will be fascinating to see how the Eagles fare with Jalen Hurts as their starter this week in New Orleans. And week 17, do any of us think the Cowboys can beat the Giants? Because I don't. I don't think that you do. I think we're staring at 3 potential losses in 4 games for the Cowboys. The only game they're probably going to win at this point is this week on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. In fact, Brian says if we take care of the Bengals this week and the Giants and Washington football team lose against good teams, is there a possible potential playoff push considering the East schedule compared to the G-Men and Washington football team? That's a great question, Brian. Good thing we have this slide on the screen. Let's look at this. All right, the Dallas Cowboys are 3-9. The Philadelphia Eagles are 3-8-1. The New York Giants and Washington football team are both 5-7. Now, I think that the Eagles are probably the worst team in the division, which is surely saying something considering who our Dallas Cowboys are. But still, I think it's quite possible the Eagles don't win another game. I think the Eagles are going to lose on Sunday against New Orleans, although I do think they'll cover. I do a show on Thursdays on the SB Nation NFL show if you want to subscribe to that podcast. Well, myself and Rob Stats Guerrera, we preview every NFL game on the docket, and we both picked Philadelphia to cover. I believe the line is 7.5. So I do think that will happen, but I think the Saints still win. So that would put the Eagles at 9 losses. I know that the Cardinals are a bit fraudulent, and that hurts my heart because I'm a big fan of Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins and Cliff Kingsbury. I'm a fighting Texas Aggie myself. 8 years ago yesterday, by the way, Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy. Shout out to Cliff for the 2012 year. But so I know the Cardinals are a bit fraudulent and a DeAndre Hopkins catch away from a really rough losing streak, honestly. But so I do think that the Cardinals will at least beat the Eagles. I'm fascinated to see the Cardinals play the Giants this week. As you can see, the Giants will host Arizona on Sunday. And finally, in Week 17, Philadelphia hosts the Washington football team. I think we all agree that's a loss. The Eagles' best chance at a win for the rest of the season is against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if that were Carson Wentz playing, I would feel much more comfortable right now saying it is a guaranteed win for the Cowboys. But it's probably going to be Jalen Hurts, given that Jalen is now the starter. I don't know how that shakes out. I really don't. And we'll know more, right? A week from now on the Cowboys Midweek Report next week, we will know just who the Eagles are with Jalen Hurts. I still don't think that they're going to be that good, but he does present a wild card factor of sorts. And so you can't exactly predict who they'll be in 3 weeks or 2 weeks, however you want to look at it. But let's give that win to the Cowboys. Let's be generous and let's give that Philadelphia win to the Cowboys, right? So if we forecast and we say the Cowboys do lose against San Francisco and do lose against New York, right? We're going to assume they beat Cincinnati on Sunday, which will be costly with regards to the NFL draft. I told you we'll get there in a bit. And we're going to assume that the Dallas beats Philadelphia. That puts the Cowboys at 5 wins on the season, with 11 losses, all right? Now, we're assuming that Philadelphia is losing out in this situation, so that would put them at 3-12-1. Yikes, they might have a top 3, top 4 pick when it comes to the NFL draft. The Giants, let's say they lose to the Cardinals, which seems fair. The Cardinals are favored in that game, but the Giants are on a bit of a run. They've won 4 games in a row, but still, let's say they lose to the Cardinals, 5-8. The Giants play the Browns next week. We mentioned already that game has been pushed to Sunday Night Football. I don't think they win. I mean, the Browns are, really finding themselves. They're 1 win away from 10 on the season. So it's fair to say that they lose. And it's also fair to say that the Baltimore Ravens beat the New York Giants. The Baltimore Ravens have had a lot of fun against the NFC East. The checkdown account tweeted today Lamar Jackson has scored on the same play against literally all 3 NFC East teams that he has played so far this year, just a quarterback draw up the middle. So I don't think he'll have a hard time beating the Giants. So But we know that the Giants will beat the Cowboys. So that gives them 6 wins because they've already got 5, and we give them that one. At the very least, they're getting to 6. Meanwhile, Washington, I think Washington has a chance against San Francisco. I will take the 49ers. In fact, I did take the 49ers this week, but I think that Washington certainly has a chance. Seattle looks bad, obviously, against the Giants, but I will still take Russell Wilson against them. This Carolina Panthers game, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now. That's a big game for the Washington football team. There's the Ron Rivera factor, right? We got to win it for him, etc. They're already at 5 wins, and we think they're going to beat the Eagles in Week 17. That puts them at 6 on the year, just like the Giants if they beat the Cowboys. If Washington beats the Panthers and beats the Eagles, they get to 7 wins. And if they beat the 49ers, they can even get to 8. So to answer the question, I think it's quite possible that one of these teams gets to 6 wins, which just doesn't seem possible with the Cowboys. Brian says if we go into Week 17 with a chance to win the division, I think they can beat the Giants. That is certainly wishful thinking. I don't think it's possible. I really don't. I don't know how the Cowboys catch enough breaks. And I don't know how the Cowboys even do their own part. I mean, the Cowboys are on the road this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're favorites. It's been a long time since the Cowboys were favorites, although they were favorites, I think, not last week, 2 weeks ago against Washington on Thanksgiving. But so this game, because it's fair. I get it. If you are still holding on to hope that the Cowboys can win the NFC East, you want the t-shirt, you want the cap, you want to be able to celebrate, you want to host a playoff game. I get all of that. I am personally far more ready to commit myself to Team Tank than a lot of other people are. I know there are definitely people who are on Team Tank as well. But if the Cowboys stumbled into a division title, I would certainly enjoy that. But this game against the Cincinnati Bengals is going to be extremely costly one way or the other. Why is that the case? Let's take a look at the 2021 NFL draft order at this particular moment at the end of Week 13. Remember that every NFL team at this point has had their bye, so everybody's played the same amount of games. From here on out, there are no more buys. There are just games. In fact, there's games even coming up on a Friday, on a Saturday, so I hope you're ready for some NFL action. But the current number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft belongs to the winless New York Jets. We'll see if they can get it done against the Seahawks. That can't happen. Anyway, the Jacksonville Jaguars own the 2nd overall pick at the moment, and these are where the quarterbacks are going to go, right? Depending on how you view this, whatever, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Those are your 1st and 2nd overall picks no matter what, but this is where it gets interesting. Right now, the 3rd overall pick belongs to the Cincinnati Bengals, the team that the Dallas Cowboys are facing on Sunday afternoon. Those Cowboys hold the 4th overall pick at the moment. 5 through 10, quickly, the Los Angeles Chargers, Philadelphia Eagles. That's why the Eagles could ultimately climb past the Cowboys and have a higher draft pick when it's all said and done. The Carolina Panthers at 7, the Atlanta Falcons at 8. The Houston Texans have earned the 9th overall pick to this point in the season, but remember that pick belongs to the Miami Dolphins thanks to the Laramie Tunsil trade, and the Denver Broncos currently hold the 10th overall pick in the draft. Now, who is the best non-quarterback in the draft? There's certainly a lot of debate. We're certainly going to have a lot of conversations about that between now and May. There is a lot of room for discussion in this particular avenue. A lot of people would say Penei Sewell is the best non-quarterback in the draft. He obviously could go a long way at boosting an offensive line, is a fantastic offensive tackle. He is extremely young so far, not even 21 years old. So there's a lot of reason to be excited about that. We know that the Cowboys have tackle issues. Tyron Smith was once a young and promising offensive tackle coming out of the Pac-12 himself. But it feels like, in fact, it's extremely obvious. I don't know why I said it feels like. It's painfully obvious that the end of the road is much closer to him than the beginning is. Lyle Collins obviously has missed the whole year effectively, and so the Cowboys have issues. And the Cowboys, for what it's worth, have gotten some valuable snaps for some younger players, some role players that are going to play a factor and certainly be part of their swing tackle rotation in 2021 and beyond with Brandon Knight and even Terrence Steele. I do think that this year has been instructive for him. But if they could land a stud of a tackle, you have to imagine that they would do some shuffling along the offensive line, or at least be set at an important position, which would probably be a good idea. There's so many people that are hesitant towards paying Dak Prescott still, which I don't understand, but the argument against paying Dak Prescott from these people is, how can we pay Dak if we're going to have to, pay all these other people? We can't do that. The salary cap, blah, blah. Well, you know how you mitigate the salary cap? You find cheap, young talent that you play on rookie contracts. What better way to do that if you're going to have your quarterback on a long-term deal than to get a star stud tackle on a rookie contract? That would be awesome. But if the Cowboys lose this game, it's possible that that star tackle that we're all kind of getting excited about ends up going to a team that needs to protect the first overall pick in the draft this year in Joe Burrow. The Bengals need a tackle just like the Dallas Cowboys do. In fact, the Bengals need a tackle far more than the Dallas Cowboys do. And so if you're the Cowboys and you're sitting at 4 overall and Cincinnati has already taken the tackle that you want, what are you going to do? Who are you going to take? The options are certainly bountiful and plentiful, but there's no real obvious choice. And so you would hope that somebody wants a quarterback. Maybe Zach Wilson has somebody's eye, whatever the case may be, and you can trade down and pick up a bounty of picks and put together a roster full of those cheap contracts that we're talking about. But that is a bit of a more unknown quantity, and you don't want to take that risk. And so it's hard to have the team tank conversation with people because people don't want to see the Cowboys lose. It sucks, right? Like today sucked. The day after the Cowboys lost, we're all mad. We're all pissed off. We want this team to do well. However, we all at this point realize, especially with New York and Washington starting to kind of find themselves and ascend with regards to the NFC East, this situation really only ends one way. Yeah, Brian, it's possible that the Cowboys find a way to win the NFC East, but, this is kind of like the Doctor Strange moment in Avengers. Like, we have looked at this situation like 6 million times, and there's only one situation where the Cowboys wind up winning it. And so the overwhelming odds suggest that tanking, again, however you want to frame that, is in the best interest of the team's long-term future. And so this game against the Cincinnati Bengals is going to really, really, really serve as a pivot point. It's possible, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but it is possible that in something like 10 years or whatever, we are looking back at the 2021 NFL draft and saying, man, the Cincinnati Bengals took our guy. If we had just lost to them in week 14, that would have been our pick, and we would have wound up picking him. And how would our future have looked? How would Dak Prescott's career have gone? How would Mike McCarthy's career have gone? So many other questions, and that's the butterfly effect of the NFL draft, right? But that butterfly effect starts at a certain point, many different points actually, and this is one of them. Whoever loses this game on Sunday between the Cincinnati Bengals and Dallas Cowboys is in many ways going to be the true winner with regards to building blocks and potential and assets and etc. for the future. You want to be able to have that level of control when it comes to the NFL draft. The Cowboys have certainly earned the right to have one of the top picks in the 2021 NFL draft. It would suck to have a very hollow moment, which we will enjoy. Let's be clear. If the Cowboys win on Sunday in Cincinnati, we'll all feel great. Like I said, losing sucks. We'll act like it was awesome. Maybe the other NFC East teams will lose. We'll allow ourselves to kind of fall back into the rhythm one more time. But the overwhelming likelihood, as mentioned, is that will be short-lived, and it will be a momentary moment of satisfaction that has a long-term consequence with regards to the 2021 NFL draft order. If the Cowboys lose to the Bengals, hey, we are talking about a team in the Dallas Cowboys with the second worst point differential in the NFL at the moment. Only the New York Jets have a worse one. So, hey, if you're the Cowboys, maybe you can find a way to do that. But look, this is a weird week, obviously, with the Cowboys because it's our midweek reports. The Cowboys played yesterday. They're going to play on Sunday again. Mike McCarthy said on Wednesday in his press conference, he met with the media late in the afternoon, that Ezekiel Elliott would be limited so far early in the week. So we'll see what the situation is, obviously dealing with that calf injury. I think an interesting situation would be if Tony Pollard played an entire game. You never want to see that, but that would be really interesting to watch, to see who Tony Pollard could be with something like 15 carries or 20 overall touches. That would be just a really interesting kind of, I don't say social experiment, but just experiment in general, to see who Tony Pollard could be if he was a true RB1 for one given game, given that it would be against a low-quality opponent in the Bengals, but still, it would be a very interesting bit of data to sort of sample and analyze as the rest of the season and the rest of the offseason rolls on. But as the rest of the season and offseason rolls on, you can bet your bottom dollar that we will have you covered right here at Blogging the Boys. Make sure you visit bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the whole internet. Make sure you subscribe right here, wherever the little thing is. Subscribe right here to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. We go live on Wednesdays for our Cowboys Midweek Report. We go live after every Dallas Cowboys game. We have film reviews. We have all sorts of fun stuff. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. As mentioned, make sure you subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast network. We are available on all major podcast platforms. I got a little bit of a spoiler for you. In fact, since you're joining us here right now, Darren Woodson, that's right, Woody, is set to join us and will be on our podcast on Friday. We may or may not mess around and throw that bad boy, that interview, right here on the YouTube channel. That's why you want to subscribe, so you don't miss any one of these wonderful things. So Darren Woodson set to join us, and maybe another guest that we are working on right now diligently for you because we love you. We hope you have the best day ever. I know today was a rough day, but we have each other, and that's what matters most. And so we'll have each other tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, and the next day after that. So enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you around here for our Darren Woodson interview and for all the other fun that we have in store. Have the best day ever. You know why? Because you deserve it. We'll see you next time.
Talking the boys.